Welcome back to ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. My name is Dave Vincent alongside Katrina Casey. Opening rally here between Sienna and Martina. It was harder for me to go in there, Katrina, and say last names as quick as.
Yeah.
You didn't see it?
Doesn't work that way. Aoife
Okay,
McCarthy
no.
reffing this match. Lefty,
Two
southpaw.
playing 4.
That's not really the opening rally when you hear 2 to 4.
Yeah.
I guess that commercial was
gonna
longer
let you
than we
away
thought.
with it. Yeah, they got started pretty quickly.
4 playing 2.
So let's put it this way. Let's
serve.
start this match in progress. Katrina, you just played that match against Aoife, our referee, and now you're sitting in the booth here. Don't you have like a post-game cool-down thing that you do? I know going to the broadcast booth is not a cool-down regimen of yours.
Yeah, well, I really wanted to watch this game anyway, to be honest.
Slide.
People are asking me, you know, because they haven't seen the two girls before, like how I think it will go, but I actually can't predict it. Like, they've been back and forth for years, and it's been a while, as I mentioned, since they played last. So,
5 playing 2.
yeah, like I hope they both play their best, and
Wow,
I was looking forward to watching the game anyway. So, yeah.
When you say that they've been playing for years, you mean when she was 13 and she was 14? I mean,
yeah,
how does that
like
work out?
They're similar in age. Martina is just a year older, so they would have competed against each other like at 13 and under, 15 and under, at minor even, under 18. They played in the World Championships. That would have been 15 and under.
Okay.
5 serves 2.
So serving right now is Sienna Kareen, who has 5, wearing the black shirt.
Second serve.
And Martina McMahon has 2. Your current national doubles champion partner, is that right? Or did you win with Aoife?
That's
the
right.
referee?
Myself.
I get confused with how many doubles champion partners you have.
Myself and Aoife won the title in 2013 in Iowa, and then I teamed up with Martina last summer. We were both traveling out to play in the singles, so it made sense to play together, and we won that in Minneapolis.
Okay, so then at Los Cab in 15, who are you playing with there? Sienna? It all comes down to who wins this match, right?
It depends who's traveling out and who doesn't have a partner arranged. I haven't really thought that far ahead, to be honest. Hopefully I'll have a partner. And myself and Sienna actually played doubles together at the Collegiate Nationals a couple of weeks back in Portland. So, yeah, we've all had some experience of playing together. All very strong doubles partners.
When was the last time you lost a doubles final?
Doubles final. Well, provincial championship.
When you were
last
11?
year.
Oh,
no?
really? Yeah.
Last year, myself and my partner Aisling O'Keefe in the Munster final, we lost out over 3 games, and then we actually met the same pair in the All-Ireland final. And we came out the right side with 3-game tussle that day. So, yeah.
Can we talk about who that pair is?
Yeah, Maria Daly and Ashley Prendeville.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I consider Maria third,
second serve,
4th best player on the planet, and yet she just doesn't get the press whatsoever.
Yeah, Maria would be ranked number 3 in Ireland.
Well, okay, so she's the 3rd best player on the planet then.
Well,
that's how it works.
Yeah, I think she's a very good player. In terms of getting the press, I guess she doesn't travel out here very often, you know, with work commitments and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, she's a very well-known player in Ireland, and she's had great success.
Here, though, it's McMahon finally getting a side out after dropping the first 8 points to Sienna. How do you say Sienna's last name? I mean, her full name. I'm saying Kareen, but
her mother's probably listening at home, and she will be scrutinizing my pronunciation. But I would say Sienna Kareen.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. That sounds similar to what I'm hashing when I say it.
Yeah, I know you're doing a good job.
I didn't study Gaelic. That ball might make it, doesn't though. Checks up left wall. And Martina just cannot get anything
Mark.
put together here against.
9 playing 2.
I'm going to call her knee. I'm just joking.
Or just
Sienna.
Sienna. Might be easier.
Is it just me? Does Sienna just have so much hidden power?
Hidden?
No.
She doesn't
Not
hide it
sure
too well,
about
but
that.
it just,
No.
I don't know where it comes from. It's just like all of a sudden, boom, it just happens.
Yeah,
playing
she's
9.
very strong. Good explosive power.
Okay, foul serve.
I mean, there's a,
Second serve.
don't think that I'm not thinking that Martina doesn't have great power, because she does. But look at these
No.
serves and that return right there. That was a great serve from Martina. Like, I was thinking to myself, oh my
9
gosh, I don't know what I would
playing
do with that. And then you see Sienna
Sharp ball.
go and hit almost a flat
Second
kill
serve.
shot on her return. Definitely some power here. And we
Mark.
saw the scores between
Timeout.
Martina and Danielle Daskalakis earlier today.
10
You saw
playing
2
2.
very powerful lefties playing against
Yeah.
each other, and I think it was like 12 and 4,
Mark.
12 and 6, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Going
Score
to
is
15.
11-2 coming back.
There's a timeout being called on the court here. You're watching the WPH race for 8 women's semifinals between Sienna Kareen wearing the dark shirt and Martina McMahon, who you've won national championships with,
Mm-hmm.
Katrina Casey. I think if you play the game long enough, you could almost, you know, just say, I've won a tournament with them. Right? It's kind of cool.
Yep.
Every tournament, you just pick somebody new and win with them.
Yeah, I've been lucky now with my doubles partners, especially at collegiate nationals. Like, yeah, both very strong. Myself and Sienna teamed up this year, like I said, and then we both made the singles final.
Right.
Yeah, and the year before I played with Martina at collegiates. So yeah,
So maybe that's the key. So what happens after your collegiate career is over, which it's over, so
Yeah.
you won't have any doubles partners anymore. That's like your farm system for the
And then
underground Katrina
I'll have
League.
to give a shout out to my more regular doubles partner, Aisling O'Keefe. So we'll be competing together.
I
in
don't know,
the
you guys
All-Ireland
lost. You guys
Championship.
lost in that tournament there.
We redeemed ourselves.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. Although they did say you're only as good as your last win. And look at this shot right here, overpowered.
Mark.
Martina, who called that timeout, doesn't come back in and get any momentum. Where is Aisling
12 playing 2.
Aisling,
O'Keefe?
where is Aisling right now? Let me think. It's Saturday. She's
You don't
probably
answer this.
at home in Ballydesmond.
Okay.
She's attending college in Dublin.
Okay.
And yeah,
I
I hope
heard-
she's doing a bit of training maybe.
Okay.
Score is 2 playing 12.
Someone told me that it was raining outside here in New York. I thought,
Sharp ball.
that's why the
Second
Irish are
serve.
winning.
Yeah, we're well used to the rain.
I know you're going to feel uncomfortable, but what would the weakness be from
3
Sienna
playing 12.
Kareen in her game?
Sharp ball.
Not that you exploit, but just
Second serve.
what she needs to work on.
Oh, I don't know. She's very strong all around, really. I actually couldn't really pick.
Off.
I guess she's been told by a certain pro player that she needs to work on
Score
her
is
left, but
12
as far as I
playing
can
3.
tell, it's pretty strong.
I mean, she has a really strong serve.
Mark.
I mean, look at that thing right there.
Mm-hmm.
13-3 here. Also wanted to comment a little bit on your
13
60
playing
some odd
3.
point 0 streak that you had going here on the Race for 8 tour, where your opponent scored
Mark.
0 points out of, I
14.
believe, 63. I
Game
know
ball,
Dave has the
playing
exact stat.
3.
And then coming in against
Sharp
Aoife,
ball,
she
second
scored a
serve.
point and ruined your streak. But then
I'm
you
not
started
too
your own
worried about
streak
my
again.
streak.
I know you're not, but did you know that you had something going there?
Dave
heard about it.
mentioned it to me earlier. He did, yes. He's a great man for the statistics.
Right. He's like, we call him Rayman.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah, no, I was just more concerned with winning the game.
wow. I guess that's the way you close out
Got 3 minutes.
game number 1 as you hear the voice of our current #1, Katrina Casey. I know it's always hard to talk about, somebody else's weakness when you could possibly be playing them in the final. So I do want to apologize about that. But, we
forgive
all
you.
have things to work on. And I know that that's something that is kind of a cool trend with you, is that even though you were as good as you were, you decided to go back and work on some things. And that's what you did, right? I don't know what they
Yeah.
were, but I can tell there's a difference between even when you were in Tucson last summer to now. Something happened because you're playing inspired handball. What was the thing that you?
I have plenty to work on, and I think playing in the men's qualifier really drives home that point and exposes weaknesses. I've just worked on my whole game, really, especially in my serve, I guess, even though it wasn't going particularly well today. But Aoife's used to defending power serves, like even with her dad is a very good player, and obviously her brother Robert might go into the court sometimes with her and serve out the ball, and I couldn't possibly compare to that power. But before, I guess I used to nearly just put the ball in play with my serve and try to rely on hitting rally ending shots then. But it makes sense to try to get a weak return, and I've worked on that. There's still plenty of room for improvement.
Well, I thought that, we've talked, and I think you've listened to some of the broadcasts. We said, well, you can't fly a ball out of the air. That was, we brought it up to you, say, well, you need to learn how to fly kill. So then like a day later, I think you and I were in practice, and all of a sudden you just started flying everything. I go, well, you do that then. And you go, well, I'm working on it. And I'm like, well, this is nuts, because now you're the best fly artist I've ever seen.
Oh, please.
But then, no, I mean, all of a sudden now that's something that you've incorporated. So you listen to what people say. I mean, I have other people that just they unfriend you on Facebook, but you do it differently. You actually listen, go in and try to execute. I find that cool, but the thing that I see that you're doing differently is that your left hand has become really good, like elite good, and it was good before. I used to feel that it wasn't necessarily a weakness of yours, but it wasn't the elite thing that you were doing with your right. Your left is really good now. How do you get it back to that level where you're 18, 19, 20, and you've done things your own way, and all of a sudden within 6 months, you've got the best left hand in women's handball? And did you go in and just say, I'm going to practice this? Who was the one that triggered that you felt? I mean, did it come naturally?
Yeah, I've always worked on my left. I guess there is some change in it. I think I probably hit some shots better with my left than I do with my right, but I'm still kind of developing my left overhand, and I've been told now that I take too much with my left, so I'm going to have to try to rectify that one as well, which I can see I definitely do, step out into the middle of the court. Whereas a lot, say, even Paul Brady now, you see him squeeze right in next to the sidewall to take the ball with his right hand. And he clearly has a very strong left, but it opens up the whole court for him, I guess. And, taking the revolving door shot with your right, that's something I need to look into. But
Do you like to step out on that revolving door with your left and take it down the left?
Yeah, that's what I have been doing.
I think that's almost, it's not, because you're not lazy, but I think, when you see older people do that, you think that's somewhat lazy. But players seem to have sort of a go over the top fadeaway left that kind of rides down the left wall. It might be a shot that you've been taking and maybe even throwing around high.
Yeah.
But turning around, taking that revolving door with your right hand. You see guys like Paul Brady, Charlie Shanks, probably the greatest revolving door player, Mondo Ortiz, Nadia Alvarado Jr.
Martin Mulcairn even.
Know how to take the revolving door really well. Maybe that's something, I guess it gives you something to do.
Yeah, I've plenty to do. Plenty.
That's weird about this game, is that even you could be #1 like you are, win 6 straight tournaments now, looking for 7, and you're still wanting to work on things like revolving doors and taking the right shot with the right hand.
Yeah, it's all just basic stuff. You need to get the basics right, I suppose. You walk before you can run. So
I think it's also another weird thing. You brought it up here as we get back into 0-0 here. Martina losing the first one, fairly bad.
Foul serve, second serve.
Sienna. But that when you I don't know how many other sports where this is a problem, where you go and practice something almost exclusively, and then you go into the handball court and it becomes almost a habit that you take balls with your left because that's what you've been working on.
Yeah.
Instead of going in and saying, I'm going to do what Dave Chapman used to do, and that is pin myself against the left wall and take it with my right. And I think maybe, Katrina, we need to find some old Dave Chapman videos because you do play a lot like him, but if you were able to see what he would do with his right hand, sometimes he would pin himself in the most weirdest position, but then hit a 1-inch high kill shot with his right hand. When his left was not bad. In fact, his left-handed paddle shot's probably the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, like even it's one thing to go into the court and practice a certain shot. You might get the execution down, but really, you know, like you were saying about taking the ball out of the air, fly kills and that, it's kind of a change of mindset, like, and you have to take that step in, whereas like it's your first reaction to go back. So yeah, like you might make some mistakes to begin with, but you have to kind of commit to it.
Martina found herself only scoring 3 points in that first game against Sienna. But what did she do here already that's been a little bit different for Martina?
She seemed to get a good 3-wall serve going there from the left-hand side. I'm glad to see, you know, she's still fighting. She maybe looked a little dejected there towards the end of the first game, but just things weren't going right for her, so that's natural.
This is not the right call, no matter what happens here. The shooter shot went for that.
0 playing 3.
Yeah, this is not the right call because the shooter went for the shot and then the referee decided to call it a slide. That's a very good serve right there. Now 1-3. I'm not liking what just happened here on this court.
1 playing 3.
But with that said, you know, sometimes you can get dejected, but you have to go in there and say, you know, I still have a...
Yeah, exactly. You have to win 2 games anyway to win the match, so...
Yeah, if you lose that first one, you just say, well, okay, well, the match starts now, and I have a great warm-up, and I need to win 2 games, just like I would if I started this. You can't rely on a tiebreaker. I think too many players do, though. That's a nice shot right there.
Yep.
Do you find it a little bit difficult? Now, you've played with Martina,
4
but
playing 1.
as a right-hander, do you find it a little bit difficult when a lefty comes in and you're all of a sudden having to kind of like reprogram your mind a little bit to what you see? Because it is different.
Yeah, I quite like playing against left-handers. I think it really focuses you, and you're not just hitting a shot because it's the same shot you always hit, and you're really kind of thinking about what you're doing, I guess. My brother as well is left-handed, and we used to play against each other when we were younger, so I wouldn't have any major problem with playing left-hander. But it was interesting, like you said earlier, to see Martina play Danielle, because it's not very common that you would have 2 lefties playing each other.
And 2 women lefties playing each other.
Yeah, definitely in the minority in both
Yeah, but
counts.
oddly enough, we have 3 of them in this tournament.
Yep.
And 2 of them played each other, at least. But yeah, that is different. That was a nice ceiling shot from Sienna.
And off. Six playing 1.
Yeah, it's funny when you play somebody that's a lefty, like you said, you know, it kind of brings out your senses a little bit, makes you really think about the game. It's kind of like driving a sports car and you decide to put the top down. Now you can experience the wind a little bit, and then you go, wow, I'm really driving this thing.
Yeah,
that analogy
exactly
might
like
not have been the greatest ever.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Not the best analogy you've ever heard, but
2
or
playing
ever
6.
will hear, to be honest. Just over the line.
3 playing 6. Mar. 4 playing 6. Sharp ball.
That ball's short.
Second serve.
Now, I heard you say this before, and I know that I've seen it firsthand. We're talking to Katrina Casey, the women's #1 ranked player.
Enough.
But you watched the men play, and we also heard Martina say the same thing, that I think it's cool to watch the new players, she said. But
6 playing 4.
Sienna said this too about Andy Nett. You know, you don't get to see him on the
Foul
tour, and then
serve.
all of a sudden he had this Cinderella thing here, and he's playing Sean Linning. I mean, I could almost
Second
put
serve.
money on it. I'm going to see all of the Irish girls here watching Sean Linning play Andy Nett, right?
Yeah,
because you know that
definitely.
you're going to see something that you probably haven't seen regularly.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
can you
yeah.
learn something off of that? Those
Oh,
guys?
definitely, yeah. I'm
Enough.
a huge fan of handball in general, like, and obviously it's great to see the elite players compete.
4 playing 6.
And obviously we've had some upsets here this weekend already.
Mark.
Colin Crehan from County Clare did really well in his
5.6.
first stop and took a few scalps there. And I guess, you know, Luis Moreno would be one of our favourite players, and he didn't have such a great tournament.
Mark.
So Sean had
Timeout,
an
first
unbelievable
timeout, Martina.
game earlier.
Score is 6 all.
So
Come back.
he's very creative, and yeah, definitely something different. And I know the girls, it's Sienna's first pro stop, so she wouldn't have got the opportunity to see them play before.
Yeah, she said that Andy Nett's new to her. I was thinking, well, he's 32, 33 years
Yeah.
old. He's been on tour. He's formerly ranked in the top 7, and yet we also feel that it's somewhat new because we haven't seen him play in a while, and he's going to come up in the men's semifinals a little later on. As that's going to be a fun matchup there. But do you get something new out of it, or is it just the experience, like, you know, you're going to your favorite sport and watching a couple guys play?
It's a bit of both, really. Like, I do get a bit caught up in the excitement of it. Like, Naughty, and I always say his name wrong, Nashi Alvarado and Emmett's game earlier was very entertaining, like, and the crowd were really getting into it. But yeah, so in that sense, it's just like going to a basketball game or something. But at the same time, you do pick up new things like shot selection and, you know.
Did you find yourself, as we get back into play here, all tied at 6, Martina wearing the light blue shirt, Sienna wearing the dark shirt? This is the women's semifinals, and now Martina back into the service box. Do you find yourself rooting for a guy like Naughty Alvarado, knowing that he's turning 42 in August, and then saying, this guy is a shot maker? I mean, he's playing defense when he had to, but he is creating opportunities for himself, and you have to admire that, and you can now see why he is so good. Because even at 42 he was playing amazing handball today.
Yeah, he played.
And
he
yesterday.
looked really smooth.
Big,
yeah, and
huge
like
setup.
Emmett has been going so well. That was another upset, I guess.
I would almost just retire right there and just say, you know what, I'm not playing the match later tonight, so I'm done. I just beat Emmett, and this is a good one. My last ESPN match ever.
And that is where you differ.
I know, but you know, at 42, you'll find out your body differs.
Well, he looks in good shape to me.
Yeah, unbelievable, really. I was inspired watching that.
All the older players really are in incredible shape, both men and women.
That was a nice shot right there from Sienna.
8 playing 6.
Now, where in Ireland is Nee Kareen from?
She's from
9
Galway, so
playing
the west.
6.
Okay, so
Yep.
west would be...
Sharp ball.
Okay, oh yeah,
Second
I got
serve.
it. I know where west is in my head.
Yep.
And then
so
where?
she's from Invern, which is in
Yeah.
Connemara, like the Irish-speaking region.
Why do all these names sound like they're characters from Lord of the Rings?
Do they?
Are they?
Cover ball.
I mean, I hate to answer a question with another question, but
She wouldn't be too far
9
now
playing
from
6.
Martin Mulkern's club, my Cullen.
that's another character.
Okay, replay.
I like how our referee takes that and puts it in the form of a question. Can you
She
replay
did
it? Can you replay?
She's very assertive.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that was a strange hop. off the front wall. Have you decided that you're going to begin to incorporate any hops? Or did
I would love to. Yep, definitely. Something I would like to work on.
after
Mary?
talking to Martina, she said, I've
Martina?
never played a women's player before that had hop
Before Danielle.
serves like Danielle.
Yeah.
The score is 10 playing 6.
Yeah, it's definitely an asset.
Mar,
There's another point for
time out, second time
Sienna.
out.
Sorry, Mom.
Score is
I know I'm not
11-6
saying your
for the
daughter's name right, but
Francie.
I'm from
Big
Oregon.
hello to Francie there.
From Oregon, and I know that you wouldn't be able to say that right either, so we're
Oregon.
even. Like, you're cheating. If I wrote it on a piece of paper and asked you what that meant, you wouldn't say it right.
It's pretty straightforward. Not gonna lie.
We have our statistician, Jean Cosimoto, here. She's going to write down on a piece of paper the third largest river in the state of Oregon, and we'll see how you say that that name. But we're with Katrina Casey, #1 women's player on the tour. The tour, let's talk about that. We have Salt Lake City coming up
Yep.
April 40, 50, 60, 70, 18, something like that.
17 to 19.
It is?
I
Okay,
believe.
yeah, you have your tickets.
Not yet.
We are going to have one heck of a showing there because all the top players, very similar to this, it's kind of like a pre-players championship. Senior women and then the elite players are going to be
Yeah.
in Salt Lake City at the Sports Mall, where we have a big show court there, and the elevation plays a factor.
Score is
Yep, it does.
11
High
playing
altitude.
6.
Yeah, I can't wait for Salt Lake now.
Short
It was
ball,
probably my favorite
second
tournament
serve.
last year up there with the US Open. It was just really exciting, and there's a new twist to it this year where obviously there'll be qualifiers, so that opens it up to more players, and again then there's more chances of upsets, I guess. And
right.
yeah, I really enjoy playing alongside with the men
Right.
pros
12
and the
playing six.
seniors. There's some really exciting games earlier today in the over 40s, I think.
Yeah, really
At
good
least
stuff.
2 games went into overtime.
Duff,
Have some implications there. But one of the neat things about that format in Salt Lake
6
City is
playing 12.
for the women, there's the top 4 players get a bonus when your season ends.
And
But
Duff.
let's say somebody like Aisling Riley comes in, not an invited player, but she just comes in and plays. Let's just put that into perspective. And then she
12
comes
playing
and
six.
let's say she makes it to the finals and win or lose, she could be pushing somebody that's
ball,
already in the
second
4
serve.
back out into the 5. They don't win that season end bonus. Could be big money. We saw earlier here with Luis Moreno decided, that he didn't really decide this, but fate decided that he wasn't going to win that first round match. It could be the difference of about $9,000 in bonus money based on that one match here today. Now everything you could say it could be based on him not winning that second stop or the third stop. He could not become the second
And Duff.
at the end of the race based on something like this. And then what happens if Robbie McCarthy decided to just enter the
12 playing
qualifier
6.
and come in and he disrupted Moreno in the first round? All of a sudden he could be losing big bonus money and cash. Same thing could
Right.
happen to the women as well. So it becomes dangerous. Yeah, there's a cool thing because when
13
you're
playing
invited, you
six.
get the top 4 seed. You get some other things like travel money and incentive money to make the trip, but then all of a sudden you could lose out.
Sure, that's the uncertainty of handball, I guess, and that's why we all keep training hard, because we know other people are going to be there to push us.
Duff.
Yeah, when I talk to players like you and Paul Brady, you just say, well, that's why every time someone serves a ball to me, I try to kill it or put it away or, put
6
myself in a
playing
position to win the
13.
next shot. I don't worry about the
Short
stats and
ball,
the money and all
second
that other
serve.
stuff. I just worry about the next shot. Easy to say at times.
Yeah, of course there's a lot at stake.
Mar.
There's another point here for McMahon, who's
7
not going
playing
away.
13.
7-13. Lost the first one, 15-4.
Short ball. Second serve.
I get the feeling sometimes just by watching Martina that if she had as good of a right hand as her left is, she'd be,
Even more dangerous.
yeah, just kind of almost Aisling Riley-ish. just the stature of her body. She's tall and
Yeah, they're similar build. Yeah, she has a very smooth left, definitely.
almost kind of the same sort of giddy up with her left hand as
7.
Aisling has with her right. But, you know, it takes much more than just having two good hands. You have to be in shape and dedicate your life to the sport. Look at that power right there.
Mer.
I bet you love that playing doubles with Sienna when somebody can, you know, I'm not sure what side you played. I'm assuming left, but when your right side player can hit the ball hard like that.
Yeah, we actually switched sides, so I played the first game in the left, and then Sienna played the second game.
That's it, girls.
And there it is, women's semifinals now over with here on the Race for 8 Tour in New York, as Sienna Kareen defeats Martina McMahon here, 4-7. And she will now go into the finals to face you for the second straight tournament, one being a non-WPH race event, this one being a race event. So you get to see not somebody new, but new on the tour.
Yep.
It's going to be fun.
Yep, fun.
I don't know why I put that in the form of a question, but
yep, looking forward to it.
I'm sure we will have an interview with our sideline reporter, Kara Mack. Let's go to her right now. Kara, what's going on?
Yep, I've got Sienna with me. Congratulations, great win.
Thanks, man. It just feels good to be in the final now. So,
How does that feel going in the final for your first pro tournament?
well, like, I knew coming here was going to be a tough tournament. Like, there was a lot of Irish players that I knew were really strong, and you know, some Americans I'd never played before. So it was just a great experience, and to get to the final is just even better. Like,
Do you feel like this last match was your biggest feat, or has it been just kind of building up throughout this time?
yeah, I think so, because I hadn't played Martina since the World Final in 2012, and that was a tiebreaker. So I knew it was going to be a really tough match, but I was looking forward to it.
So what was your strategy coming into this match?
Well, I knew that if I served well down the right, I might have a good chance, because Martina's left is just unbelievable, so you just have to try and keep it away from that.
At any point, did you change that game plan and think about something else to focus on?
Yeah, in the second game, my serve wasn't going as well as it was in the first game, so I just tried a new serve, but I think overall it worked out okay.
So you know what's ahead for the finals. You're going to be meeting up with Katrina again. Last time that happened was in the collegiate finals.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that match that you're going to bring tomorrow?
Well, Katrina's just an all-around player. Like, she's just so consistent. Like, she can keep the ball up, and then she can kill it off well as well. But hopefully, you know, I played well there, so hopefully I'll be able to carry that into the final and give me a good chance.
Congratulations. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks a million.
Thanks, Sienna.
Thanks.
Well, I don't know what else you can say about that other than that's that. There's your matchup for tomorrow. We have the men's 40 semifinals here on the show court coming up next. Dan Armijo is going to see if he can take that #1 seed all the way to the final spot. We're going to have
Dan
him
the
on.
Hand.
Yeah, we're going to have Dan the Hand coming up. I don't
Get
know if
ready to roll out.
Do you have a Dan the Hand t-shirt?
I don't. I asked him if he'd sponsor me like he did Daniel Cordova, because Daniel had a very stylish headband
And
on yesterday with the hand written across it. They're handmade, I understand. So
well, that's pun intended.
maybe
or
he'll oblige.
Yeah, okay. We're going to take a break here on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. We'll be back in just a bit. Stick around. More handball action around the corner. And we will have this men's 40 semifinals right here on the TV. Stick around. We'll be back.